Yeah, okay.
All right. Hey, everybody. Yes, welcome to the show. This is TPIMSR Live. I'm your host, True Powers Mind. I have Jordan Maxwell on the line, folks. Very, very fortunate to have this man to talk about things that are current and happening right now. Jordan, real quick, could you please give us an overall synopsis of the coronavirus pandemic? Maybe you saw it coming. Maybe there's some things we can do about it.
Well, I was told by a particular friend of mine, a very close friend of mine, who is very, very good at telling the future by the stars. He reads the stars the way Nostradamus did it. And it's totally different than astrology. What Nostradamus did was extraordinary, so that 500 years later, he's still respected. His name is still respected in the astrological understanding of the world we live in. And this man, as a friend of mine for many years, reads the stars exactly the way Nostradamus did it. And he would tell me, it's a continual relationship I have with him. He tells me what's going to happen from month to month and day to day in my personal life. So I am privileged to have someone who really is very knowledgeable and tells me things which are going to happen. And every single time he's given me a prophecy, it has happened precisely right at the exact time he said it would. And I was told last year, in November or December of last year, he said, watch out for February and March, because you're going to have a terrible situation arise on the earth where people are going to be sent home, companies are going to be shut down, and you're going to have some terrible problems to deal with in America. And it has to do with the corporations and big companies. People are just going to be not laid off, they're just going to be shut down. And he said it's going to, and a lot of people are going to suffer. The whole country is going to suffer. And then you're going to wake up and find out the whole world is suffering.
Right.
And he said to me, remember, when this happens, most people in America are going to think, well, as bad as it is, it will blow over, we'll get past it. He said, no, it's not going to blow over. Just know that what started in February and March is going to continue to October. And in October, the whole entire world is going to collapse. You're going to see something that human race has never seen before. You're going to see a total, absolute chaos on the earth. And he said, and then a year and 4 months after that October, we're going to have to live with that chaos. It's going to be absolutely unbelievable what's going to happen to the earth. And he said, but after a year and 4 months, it'll start to clear up. And after about a year and 6 months, it'll be fine. Everything will be back to normal again. He said, but you have no idea about what is coming on the earth. Get prepared for it. So here we are.
I have a message for you. I have a question for you. Could you please ask Mr. Maxwell, does he see the third temple being rebuilt in Israel this year?
Do I see what?
The third temple, the third Jewish temple, Solomon's temple being rebuilt.
Yeah, that third temple is an old, incredible, absolutely outrageous bunch of bull I have ever heard in my life. It's the most disgusting story I've ever heard come out of the Middle East, period. It is a Masonic, Freemasonic, conspiratorial apparatus put together by British bakers in the city of London.
Yes.
It's an incredibly bad situation. And the Jewish people have no idea in the world what's going on in the Middle East today. I mean, I'll give you an example of how absolutely ignorant and ill-informed Israelis are about their country. When you see the Jews going to the Wailing Wall,
yes, the West
and they're
Wall.
praying to God at the Wailing Wall, have you seen them bouncing back and forth, weaving back and forth, as they're doing their prayers at the Wailing Wall?
Yes.
Have you ever watched them?
Yes.
Okay, do you know what that means? Do you know why the Jews are bouncing back and forth as they're praying?
No.
They're having sex with God. They're having sex with God. God, the female principle of God is called the Shekinah, and they are having sex with the Shekinah. It's a sexual act, and they think that they are talking to the female part of God, because God is a hermaphrodite God. It's both male and female.
Wow. So when our presidents go and put their little a ticket in the wall or note in the wall, that's I guess the phallus being penetrated into the vaginal.
Yeah, that's basically it. But here's another point about that. The Wailing Wall in Jerusalem, the Jewish people around the world have been told it's a wall connected to the Temple of Solomon.
Correct.
Solomon's Temple. It is not Solomon's Temple because, in point of fact, factually, there was no King Solomon. It's an old fable from the Freemasons. Jewish Freemasons in the Middle East came up with a word, with an idea, a concept called Solomon's Temple. There was no King Solomon. He never existed. I do not believe at all that there was a king named David, because if you go to the Bible today and read in the Old Testament about King David, and then look at those scriptures and write them down that talk about King David, and go back into the most ancient times, the most ancient Bibles ever, and look at those scriptures in those old Bibles. It doesn't say King David. It says King Druid. D-R-U-I-D. Not D-A-V-I-D. King Druid. The Druids were a very powerful people in Europe. Both the North, East, West, and Southern Europe was under the control of the people, what we call the white man or the Druids.
Correct.
And therefore, anything that happens in the North, East, West, or South, we call news. It's all news. N-E-W-S. North, East, West, and Southern Europe. And so the Druids were the priests, they were the judges, they were the lawyers, they were the doctors. The Druids were a very powerful priesthood in Europe before the Roman Empire.
Right.
And the most important symbol of Druidic power in Europe was a magic wand, like Merlin the magician with his magic wand. Orchestra leaders today around the world play with their music with a magic wand. And magic wands were always made out of a holly tree. It's made out of Hollywood. Understand?
But
so that Hollywood is a profoundly German, Nordic operation. They call themselves Jews. So we say the Jews are running Hollywood. Wow. They're not Jews. They are a Germanic people who are running the world of mankind today.
Through banking?
What we call Druidism. Druidism is a symbol, and we call it the magic of Hollywood. Yes, the wood of a holly tree that they make their magic wands out of.
So, Jordan,
yes.
the people who are into the occult, what you just said basically validates that there's some sort of magical substance to this Hollywood, because Hollywood is actually manifesting.
You can bet on it, yes. Absolutely. So when you hear the word magic of Hollywood, it's an actual, de jure, legitimate, and real magical system. And it takes in and sucks into its power all kinds of people who are ignorant, ill-informed, unread, and untrained, and who have no idea in the world what's going on. And when someone's offered you a lot of money and going to make you into a big star and you're going to be popular and important, you have no idea of the organized criminal syndicates that are going to rip you off. And you're going to end up being ripped off. You're going to end up being a prostitute. And you're going to wish to hell you'd have never been born. Because that kind of money and that kind of power has a way of treating humans that you had no idea, but you're going to find out. You're going to find out if they ever decide to pick you to be a star, you're going to find out what you're going to have to pay to have that kind of knowledge and have that kind of connection. It's an extraordinary story about how Hollywood works and who they are and where they come from and what they're doing.
So this molds right into the whole notion of the culture of death. This molds right into the whole notion of the culture of death. I mean, we forsake the children abortions, and now we straight up are telling the old people, because of coronavirus, you need to be prepared to die for this economy that produced creditors and debtors.
Yeah, you're right. And let me give you an example. Look, first of all, let me preface my comments by saying I am not an attorney. I am not a lawyer. I would never be an attorney. I know who they are, and I would never, ever be an attorney. So I'm not giving you any legal advice. Correct. What I am saying is that I would suggest anyone hearing me do not think to do anything about anything I say. You just hear it to educate yourself as an entertainment and education, but do not try and do something about straightening out something I'm showing you, something that you are going to find out from me. Do not try and do anything about it, because I'm not doing anything about it. Why? Because I know more than you do, and correct. I would never even attempt to do anything about the things which I know, because I know more about it.
There's some real stakes.
Do not do anything about what I might tell you.
Yeah,
you understand
this, and that's a good disclaimer. Listen, folks, this is real. Yeah. This is entertainment. This is educational. This is informative. But there are some real life stakes at risk here. And the reason why we bring you this information, or I choose to try to share this information with y'all, is because I want you to have a complete sense of the situation. We have to have a complete situational awareness. Now, we have Luciferians running the government. We have Luciferians running Hollywood. And we have also Luciferians running the major central banks around the world. They're on the same team. That is factual. That's documentatable. You can go through UN white papers, IMF white papers. You can track all this information down. We're condensing this for your digestion.
That's right. It has nothing to do with you doing anything about what I say. I'm just educating you. I want you to understand how the world you live in actually works. Let me give you an example of how small and tiny, how actually small the deception goes in our world. I'll give you an example of what I'm talking about. When you're driving on a highway, you get stopped by the police or by the highway patrol with the red lights, and you pull off the side of the road. Well, the cop comes up to the car and he's going to give you a ticket. Well, a ticket is what you get when you go to a grocery store or you go to a supermarket or any kind of a store and you're going to buy a pair of pants. They're going to give you a ticket. The ticket is called a ticket in commerce. Why? Because it's a business. You get a ticket that represents the shoes you're going to buy, and that's commerce. So you're going to be expected to pay the ticket. Well, when a cop gives you the ticket, he signs it. He fills it out first, and he signs it. Then he hands you the ticket the pack of tickets, and you sign it. Then you tear it off, and you keep your copy of the ticket. Now, you are expected to pay the ticket. But here's what you don't know. You are a co-signer on a ticket in commerce.
Yes.
It was his ticket. He signed it first. You are the undersigner. You are the co-signer. And therefore, you take that ticket and photocopy it and keep a photocopy of the ticket for your record. Take the ticket itself, put it in an envelope, and send it to the Secretary of State in which you live. And at the Secretary of State, you get it notarized that it's actually you who got the ticket, and you tell the Secretary of State, I did not realize I was ill-informed, and I didn't realize I was co-signing a ticket in commerce. I do not wish to co-sign for this ticket. So please take this ticket and off of my signature. Take my signature off of this ticket. I did not know I was co-signing for the officer. And then the Secretary of State will send it to the treasurer of the state in which you live. And the treasurer will then take that ticket and send it to the police. They'll send it to the highway patrolman. And he has to pay the ticket because it's his ticket and he signed it first. You are a co-signer. And so now he has to pay the ticket, not you. Did you know that?
No, I did. I mean, there's so many diabolical schemes. No, I did not know that they were fleecing us like that.
That's right, and that's my point. That's the point I'm making. It's a very small thing when you get a ticket, unless it's about $300 or $400. But whatever the ticket, the cop is responsible to pay the ticket himself. Why? Because it's his ticket. He was carrying it first. It's his ticket, and he signed it first.
Correct.
He wrote it out and signed it. So he signed the ticket first, and you are a co-signer. You are co-signing in case he doesn't pay it, you have to. But if you're smart and well-read and highly intelligent and you have already understood how the world works, you can then send the ticket to your state government and say, I don't want to co-sign for this ticket. And then they will send the ticket to the cop and he has to pay it. How many people know that? That's just one small, tiny example. I could talk for the next 10 hours on all the kinds of things that are going on in the world around you that you never knew, no one ever told you, you're not supposed to know.
Maybe you can help us. You can help us out with this. I got a question from the chat room. They can pay $2 trillion. Where are the reparations for black folks? Like, black folks been in economic disaster for a hot minute. But when Corona comes around, it seems like we can pay all this money to businesses and American people. Why is America resistant, Brother Jordan, to paying black Americans reparations for slavery?
Because we have lived on the earth where slavery has existed for thousands of years. It's nothing new that there were slaves in America. As a matter of fact, you have no idea in the world what the 14th Amendment really is. We talk about the 14th Amendment. Yeah, well, you have no idea in the world what the 14th Amendment actually is until you sit and talk with someone who is extraordinarily well-read and highly intelligent, and they explain to you in a few words what the 14th Amendment actually is.
Wasn't that a promissory note? Slavery. Wasn't the 14th Amendment a promise? Wasn't the 14th Amendment a promissory note to black folks?
No, not exactly. From what I have been told by people high up in government, what 14th Amendment, you need to understand that the United States was called the United States of America in 1776 when this republic was being founded. It was called a republic. And it was being founded by the founding fathers, so-called, in 1776. But, and after the Civil War, there became a Civil War. And after the Civil War, which was extremely bloody and violent. We found out that after the Civil War, which was extremely violent and bloody, it was decided by the people who ran this country, the governmental, so-called government, decided that America was a lot of things. After the Civil War, America was decided it was a lot of things, but united was not one of them. We're no longer a united state. We just had a civil war where one half the country was killing the other half. And there was a hatred going on in this country. So we're not united. So the governmental system decided we're not going to be called the United States of America anymore because we're not united. But what are you going to do with the millions of people who are left who didn't die? What are you going to do with them? They got babies, they got children, they want to work, they want to eat, they want to live. So what are you going to do with them? Well, it was decided that we're not united anymore. So don't call us United States. Even the Supreme Court ruled we're not a United States any longer. So it was decided instead of being called a United States of America as a republic, we're not united any longer. We should open up what we call a corporation in Delaware, and we should make the country a corporation, a company called the United States Incorporated.
Wow.
And make it into a privately owned company, a corporation like General Electric, Ford Motor Company, and Exxon Oil. Well, we got another corporation that is even bigger. It's called the United States Corporation. And you are a employee of that corporation. That's why we call you a U.S. citizen, because the word citizen was chosen for an employee of a corporation. Wow. And this is why when you get a Social Security card, on the front is a set of numbers with your name in all capital letters. That Social Security card is an identification of your employment with the corporation, and you go into any big corporation, any big store, and those people who are working at the store are carrying their badges, their ID badges. So they're working for the corporation or the company. Well, that's exactly what you are doing when you get a Social Security card. It's an identification. You are part of a company, a corporation, an international business around the world, and it's called the United States. And the United States Corporation. Therefore, it follows that if I go to a restaurant one night about midnight and I see you and a lady friend, and you and the lady are both walking out of the restaurant that I'm going into, I see you, but you didn't see me. So the next morning I call you and I say to you, look at, that the lady you went out with last night, the woman you went out with last night, yes, you better watch out for her. She's bad company. You better listen to me. She's very bad company. And you say to me, mind your own business. What are we talking about here? Company, business. Then I find out you're going to get married. She's going to be your partner. We're using the words like partner, business, company. What are we talking about here? We're talking about, what's the word I'm looking for? A commerce. Right. We're talking about commerce, a business. And so therefore, whoever you're sleeping with is none of my business, and who I live with is none of your business. But it is a business. And because if it don't work out, whoever the woman in your life is don't work out, you're not going to the Lord God in church. You're going to court. You better bring your house and your money, your TV, and anything else you think you own, because the judge will decide who's going to get what, because it's just a business, and she was your partner. And now it didn't work out, so don't go to God, you go into court. And why are you going to court? Why do you go to court? It's because you play tennis on a court.
Yes.
You play basketball on a court.
Yes.
How do you play tennis on a court? You play with a racket.
Yes.
Wake up.
It's a racket, yeah.
And so once you begin to understand how the world actually works, let me give you an example. If you had a 2-story building that you own and you decided you want to put a lot of weight on the second floor, like storing automobiles or printing presses or extreme heavy equipment on the second floor that you own the building, the smart thing to do is to call a building contractor, go downstairs, get on a ladder and go up and remove the ceiling tiles downstairs and look at the floor and see if it's going to hold that kind of weight before you go building on it. Don't put that kind of weight on the second floor until you know if that foundation is going to hold that kind of weight. So what are you doing? You are actually standing under the foundation you're going to build on. And that's why you're standing under it, to get understanding. That's where the word comes from. To understand means to stand under. And so if you stand under the foundation of America, you will find out, and for the first time, actually have understanding. You will understand what a court is. You will understand what a police is. Why do you have police? You didn't have police back in the 1700s. Well, where did the police come from? Well, the reason why you have a police department is because you no longer have a republic. Washington, D.C. does not represent the Republic of the United States of America. It represents a corporation that was incorporated back in 1870s in what's the state where corporations were very famous?
New York?
No, not New York.
Or Pennsylvania.
Just above New York.
Below
New York.
Well, not New Jersey or Maryland.
No.
Vermont.
Oh, I can't remember right now. My mind, I'm 80 years old. I can't remember. I have some, but that's, anyway.
So they're saying Philadelphia in the chat room.
When the United States was officially given up and collapsed in 1870, the United States of America was officially abandoned. We now have, and in its place was put a corporation called the United States Corporation Incorporated. Therefore, we cannot make any laws. United States cannot make a law. There is no such a thing as a law in the United States today, because it is not the United States of America. A corporation has been put in its place called the United States Company, and you are a employee of that company called United States Corporation, and this is why this is why you are a business, and therefore the corporation no longer we do not have lawmakers. So that's a misnomer. We do not have lawmakers because corporations cannot have lawmakers. Corporations can only have a private policy, and that policy, is not from God. It's not the law. No, it's just a particular corporation has a particular policy.
Right.
Well, as our policy in the United States Corporation, our policy is that you should not drive over, say, 40 miles an hour in a school zone, or you cannot do this, or you cannot do that. It's not the law of God. It's not a law. We have policy makers, and those policy makers make up a policy. Why? For the corporation. Corporations cannot make a law. They can make a policy. So, Holly, suppose they make a policy and you don't like it. How are they going to back up their policy?
Right.
How are they going to enforce their policy? They're going to enforce their policy with police. police comes from the word policy. And the policy is backed up by the police. That's why you have a policy in this country. We don't want you having guns. It's our policy that we don't want our employees carrying guns, because maybe the employees that decide one day that the company and the corporation, they don't want to be a part of the corporation anymore. Well, we have police to back up our policy. And so, therefore, that's why today, unlike in the 1800s, when the cowboys could walk in a bar with their guns on, cowboys always carried guns. They could come into any bar they want, and if they have a falling out with another guy in the bar, you can always go out in the street and finish it off right now in front of the sheriff's department. The sheriff can be out there, and all the people in town can be there, and the two of you can go out and draw on each other. Why? Wow. Because that's the way the policy of that time worked. That's the way America was founded. You were a sovereign, means you were a king, and as a king, you had the right to arm yourself and defend yourself from other kings who are carrying guns. Right. And that's why the cowboys could go into the bar with their guns on. But we can't do that today. Why? Because the corporation said it's against their policy. Ooh. And so they have police. You understand the stuff I'm saying to you?
Yeah, the chat room's like they want to know, do you see martial law coming to the United States?
No, it's already here. I just haven't told you. It's already here.
That's what he's telling you guys about the policies.
It's not coming. It's already here. You mess with this government, you'll see what's really going on for the first time in your life. You'll find out. No, it's not coming. It's already here. It's called Homeland Security.
Wow. That's what Hitler had.
Say it again?
That's what Hitler had, a Department of Homeland Security or Fatherland Security. And even Brother Dick Gregory told us, if Jesus Christ was to manifest himself today and bug the wrong people, they would kill him again and give him the chair. And then everyone be running around with necklaces with chairs.
Well, that's what Jesus said in the Bible. What they have to do, the slave is no greater than his master. What they have done to me, they will do to you. And therefore, they nailed him to a stake and spit on him and called them all kinds of names. So that's what they will do to you. If you know something you're not supposed to know, if you find out things about your country you're not supposed to know, and they will chase you out of town, tar and feather you, and make you look like a fool. Because you're not supposed to tell people what's really going on. If you do, what is called organized crime. That's why in America we don't have a legal system. We have something called the United States criminal justice system. It's not a justice system, it's a criminal justice system, implying that the criminals are administrating the justice.
Right.
And that's why we have a court system, because we're playing on a court. I mean, why do you have once you understand the way this world works, it's a big, big story.
It's a big racket. What you're describing, Jordan, is quite literally a racket from cradle to grave. From cradle to grave, they got you.
It's exactly right. When you are born, the church controls your birth. When you marry, the church controls your marriage. When you die, they're putting you away. The church is there. It's a religio-political system. From the day you are born to the day you die, you are a servant. You don't think so? Try and do something without asking permission. That's why we have something in New York called the Statue of Liberty. It's not the Statue of Freedom. Go back and do some homework. The Statue of Liberty. Liberty is what a sailor gets when he pulls into port on a U.S. naval craft. You ask the captain for permission to go aboard. And if you get permission, which most likely you won't, but if you do get permission to go, better be back when the man says so. If he says 12 midnight, you better be back before 12 midnight, because you'll be thrown into the brig or thrown into prison. Why? Because you don't have liberty. You don't have freedom. You have liberty. He gave you a liberty to go, but he didn't tell you you could go because you're free. You're not free.
Right.
They own you. When you go in the military, they own your body.
Through contract.
You ask permission.
Through a contract. When you go to the MEP station and you raise that hand and you take the oath, you have signed the contract.
That's why you have a constitution. You need to understand why it's called a constitution. It's an incredible story when you begin to realize and understand how America actually works, and listen to the people who know. And I'm talking about the really dark people who run this planet. I have been in the company of these kind of people for years.
Wow.
And been able to hear from them their own words and see what they do with their own eyes. I've watched them do things. I have been a witness to some very powerful people in this world, and I watch what they do and watch what they say, and I'm thinking, if the American public were to see what I have just seen and heard what I just heard this man say, you would not believe what is going on in America today. It's an extraordinary story of ignorance, ill-informed ignorance that people have never been told. I mean, when you go to work, you get money. You don't get money; you actually get a Federal Reserve note.
Yes,
but
tender.
When you get paid, you put your money in a bank. Why do you put your money in a bank? Because the bank is referred to as a river bank.
Right.
But what does a river bank do? It directs the flow of the current.
Yes.
Your money is water. There's a maritime admiralty law in the world. It's called the law of the current, the currency. And so your money is a current. It comes in and goes out just like the water in an ocean.
Correct.
It comes in, but it's going out just as easy. When it comes in, it goes out. When it comes in, it goes out. You're in problem. You got some serious problems if it don't come in, but it's got to go out. And so that's why you put your money in a bank, because it directs the flow of the currency.
Correct.
And so it's an extraordinary story about the difference between the law of the land, which is where people live, as opposed to a far more important law called the law of the sea.
Yes.
Called maritime.
Yes.
Maritime admiralty law, which is the law of water. That's what we say. Money goes through your hands like water.
Right.
No, money is water by law. It's a maritime admiralty product. It's the liquidity. It's a liquid cash flow.
Yes.
It's flowing like a river. It's a whole idea of water, and this is why when your mother gave birth to you, her water broke.
Right.
You were conceived in water, but her water broke, and you came out of your mother from the water to the world that you don't know anything about. You were a baby. The world has already been operating for thousands of years before you popped in. So you come in at the last 30 seconds or the last 10 seconds of the movie, and the 2.5-hour movie, spectacular, has already played out, and you come in at the last 1 minute, and you're expected to understand the world and the movie and the whole plot and everything, because you came in at the last minute, the last actual, in fact, 60 seconds. Wow. And you are supposed to understand the story in the movie. No, You don't understand anything. You have no idea in the world where this government comes from, where your state comes from.
I always describe it like this, Jordan. You basically came into it. I always describe the situation like this. You were born into a situation where you're playing Monopoly. All the properties already been sold. It all has hotels on it, and you don't even get $200 when you pass go. Good luck, bud. You know, that's where we're at.
That's why I call it Monopoly.
But this is our world. I got a question for the chat room. What does he predict with the U.S. current situation?
Oh, the U.S. current situation is that we in the United States are living under a Soviet communist, Marxist-Leninist communist system that died in the Soviet Union and left town and came over here and got started again.
Wow.
So we are now the United States of the whole of Soviet Union was called the USSR, the Union of Soviet Socialist Republic. Well, today we are the USSA, the Union of Soviet States of America.
Oh.
We are a Soviet communist, Marxist, Leninist, Soviet communist operation on the earth. And we are now in the process of communizing the entire world. We talk about our earthly little community, and we are a part of a community. Well, that sounds like when we get the word community from communism.
Yes.
We are a Marxist, Leninist, Soviet communist operation on the earth. And then when you get somebody like Trump who comes in and understands business, he understands corporations like I do. And he knows that we are a corporation as of 1870. We're not a United States of America. We are a corporation. And he knows that when people come in from come across our borders, they're coming in thinking that they are coming into our country illegally. They're coming into the United States of America. No, you're not. You're coming into a privately owned corporation. It's like you breaking into Ford Motor Company one night at 2 o'clock in the morning, coming into Ford Motor Company. You're not an employee. You're not lawfully in here to work for the company. You're not a part of the company. And so if the Ford finds out that you're inside the Ford making money, but you're not a part of the company, they didn't hire you.
Right.
You came in illegally, they can put a lien on you. It's called a mechanic's lien. They can put a mechanic's lien on you, just like I could put a lien on you. If I paint your home and you don't pay me, I can put a mechanic's lien on your home.
Yes, you can.
And that means you cannot do anything with your home unless you pay me first.
Right.
It's called a mechanic's lien. So therefore, if you come across the border from Mexico illegally, the corporation called United States can put a lien on you. Therefore, at that point, you become known as an alien.
Yes.
Now, why? Because a lien has been put on you. You are an alien. You are an alien. An alien.
Wow.
Why? Because you are put under a lien. They have a lien on you. Therefore, they can, like the mafia, they put a lien on you. When they lean on you, they're serious.
Yes.
They're real serious. When they begin to lean on you.
No joke.
It's gonna connect. You're gonna pay for what you've done with your wife and your children. The organization will deal with you and your wife and your children. They're putting a lien on you. They're leaning on you. And that's what the government does. It leans on you.
What about actual aliens outside of the Earth biosphere?
Yeah,
any hope for them to help us?
Yeah, I believe, this is my belief, and I think I can prove it through circumstantial evidence, but it is the point of my belief that we humans on this earth have been from day one led by extraterrestrial intelligence. There's no doubt in my mind about that at all. And all I would say is that we as humans today are being led by extraterrestrial intelligence, not of this world. And if you understand Genesis, the first chapter of Genesis, you will see what I mean. But most people do not know how to read Genesis correctly. It's an extraordinary story of betrayal, that people do not understand what's being written in the Bible, in the book of Genesis, the first chapter. It tells you stuff that will blow your mind if you ever found out what it actually says. Let me give you an example. In the King James Bible, it says in Genesis 1:1, in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. But that's not what it says in the Hebrew. It doesn't say that at all. It doesn't say in the beginning God created the heavens and the earth. Why? Because if you go back to the Jewish Bible and read Genesis 1:1, it does not say in the beginning God created the heavens and the earth. Why? Because God in Hebrew is E-L. El is God in Hebrew. And so you would expect, if you go back to the old Hebrew Bible and read Genesis 1:1, it would say, in the beginning, El created the heavens and the earth. But it doesn't say that. It doesn't say El created the heavens and the earth. Well, El is God. And incidentally, El was the god Saturn. Saturn was called El. In what we call Palestine today, Saturn was called El. So therefore, the Jewish God at that time, thousands of years ago, the Jews were worshiping the planet Venus. The planet Saturn. Saturn was referred to in Judaism as Lord of the Rings. That's why we have people making movies about Lord of the Rings. Saturn was considered to be El. And that's why if you take the worship of Isis, and the worship of Amun-Ra, R-A, Amun-Ra, Isis, Ra, and El, I-S-R-A-E-L, becomes Israel. Israel is Isis, Ra, and El. El is the planet Saturn. Saturn is referred to as the god of the black robe. This is why judges wear black robes, teachers wear black robes, Catholic priests wear black robes, bishops wear black robes, and you wear a black robe. When you graduate from university, you wear a black robe in a square mortarboard on your head, because a square mortarboard represents, that's why the kids back in the 50s used to call intelligent people a bunch of squares. Why? Because you wear a square mortarboard on your head when you graduate.
Wow.
All I can say is, my God, I wish I could sit and talk for the next 20 hours and tell you the world you live in, where it really came from and what it really is all about. That's why your government is in the area we call New England. And you have a place called Baltimore. Baltimore and Maryland. Maryland is Maryland. The land of Mary. Well, who was Jesus' mother? She was Mary. And she was a virgin, Mary the Virgin. No, Mary was not Virgo. Virgo is a constellation of the zodiac called Virgo, the Virgin. And that's why Leonardo da Vinci, when he painted the Last Supper, which was the last Passover, my God, there's a story there just screaming to be heard. I get off this subject when I'm on these subjects. I get all kinds of stuff that comes into my mind. I want to tell the people listening to understand for the first time, religion is not what you think it is. The history of the church is not what you think it is. The history of the U.S. government does not work the way you think it does. Nothing is what you think it is. It's totally different. And that's why I'm saying that you need to understand how the world actually works. If you go on my website to Jordan Maxwell Show, understand I have my own website, but there are other websites on the web with my name on them, Jordan Maxwell. And there are websites out there with my name on them, but they're not mine. Other people are using my name to make themselves money because I'm well known around the world. So people have come in and took my name and put my name on their website. And so I'm saying that those different websites are not mine. They're somebody else's. My website is Jordan Maxwell Show. Add the word SHOW. That's me. So if you want to contact me, go to jordanmaxwellshow.com and email me, and I'll try and get back to you. And when you go on my Jordan Maxwell Show, you will see an advertisement and a link to join a research website. Yes. I have also a second website called Jordan Maxwell Research website. You have to join that website, and it's not for free. You have to donate to the website, Jordan Maxwell website, research website. Click on it, and it will tell you what to do and how to join. And the reason why you have to join it is because my lawyer friends, I do have some friends who are good guys who are helping me, and they're lawyers, and they tell me, if you go into a restaurant at night with about 10 of your friends and you get a big table in the back of the restaurant, you can sit back there with your friends and you can say anything you want. You can use any foul language. You can call any group of people anything you wish. You can say anything you want, no matter how bad it is, no matter how difficult it is. As long as your friends sitting at the table don't mind, you can say anything you want. Why? Because it's a private conversation.
Right.
Governments are only empowered to protect the public. Well, the public is not part of your conversation. It's a private conversation. Therefore, the government can say nothing about the words that you said last night in the restaurant. But if you say the same things you said last night and cursing other people and cursing other groups, the words you use were absolutely outrageous. But if you say that in public, now the government can get in touch with you. Now the government will intervene. Why? Because the government is empowered to protect the public. And therefore, they will protect the public by keeping your mouth shut, making sure you go to jail. Making sure you go to jail or you go to prison for what you said in public. But if you say it in private, they can't do anything about it. It's a private conversation. So I was told by my lawyer friends, if you're going to put this kind of information out, something that can really get you hurt, if the wrong people find out you talking in public about things they're not supposed to hear, that the public is not supposed to know, and you're talking in public, you're going to get yourself in serious trouble. Yes. You're going to find out what this government's really all about. When they come knocking on your door with warrants for your arrest, why? Because you talk too much. You tell people things they're not supposed to know. So you better keep it private. So if you're going to tell people things, you better keep it private. Have people join. Now it's a private conversation. The government has nothing to say about who wants to hear you. They're your personal people that want to hear you, so they join. So therefore, the government has no control over what you say. You cannot get in trouble for saying it on a private website. So that's why I put my stuff into a private website called Jordan Maxwell Research website. If you want to join, it's a small one-time token donation to the website, which helps me to pay all the bills for the website. No. And you will find all kinds of lectures and audios and videos and books and research materials and people and websites I highly recommend, and all kinds of documents and pictures that will blow your mind, things that you've never been told before. And there's a section on my research website called interesting articles of interest. And that particular section of my research website will quite literally blow your mind. There's stuff on there that's worth tens of thousands of dollars if you just knew. If you had known and understood what the law actually says and what the government is actually doing, you would not be in the trouble you're in today. You would, for the first time, really understand what's going on. Well, I've got that kind of information on my research website. So go on to Jordan Maxwell Show, my website, and you will see the advertisement to join my research website. And so join and then go to interesting articles and read some of the stuff that will blow your mind about who you really are, how this government actually works, and what you do when you say you are a U.S. citizen. You have no idea what that means in international law. You are no longer considered to be an American. You are not an American if you say you're a U.S. citizen, because they didn't have anything called a U.S. citizen back in 1776 when the Republic was founded. You were only an American with freedom and liberty and justice for all. Today, there is no freedom, liberty, or justice. The judges will tell you there is no justice. There's just us. And we decide what the law is. Why? Because we are running the corporation. And therefore, we running the corporation are your bosses. You work for us. We don't work for you. And therefore, we'll decide what you can do and what you can't do. And if we don't like what you're doing, and we don't like it personally, then you're going to jail. Right. Why? Because I said so. Because there is no law to protect you. You don't have a constitution. There are two different constitutions in the United States. There is a constitution for the United States, and there's a constitution of the United States of America. One is for and one is of. That could be a big difference in words in a federal courtroom. Of and for are two different words, two different constitutions. The one we're living under now is the Constitution of or for the United States. The original one was called the United States Constitution for the United States. So there's a big difference between of and for. And you need to know that two constitutions, you're not under the original. Therefore, there is no freedom and liberty and justice. There is no freedom. You're not a sovereign. You're not free. You think you're free? Go out and paint your house without getting a permission. Go out and try and do something in your yard without permission, without going to the government and getting a permit. You better get a permit, boy.
You have to even have papers to travel today. I mean, what you're talking about as far as the overt, the overt government is right on. But there's a covert government called the deep state. And a lot of the things
that's right
doesn't apply when we're dealing with the deep state. Could you kind of explain that to the people?
They own the corporation. They are the owners of the corporation called United States Corporation. They are the owners. They are the stockholders, the premier stockholders of the corporation. We call the deep state, the real boss. So when you go to work for Sears or Ford Motor Company, the guys you're working with at the plant who are your bosses, they're not big bosses. They're just your boss.
Right.
You're coming under them. They have bosses upstairs. That's where the real power is, with the actual stockholders, the major stockholders of the corporation. They're living in the Bahamas with their boyfriends. They own the corporation, period. And according to corporate law, anything the corporation owns, like you, they own. They own the corporation. They own you. And they pay you to do what they want you to do. They don't pay you to stick your nose in the boss's business.
Right.
What they're doing business in the Bahamas, none of your business. If you look in a legal lawful dictionary, look up the word commerce. Commerce in a law dictionary is sex, S-E-X. Sex is considered by law to be a business.
What?
Of course, who you're sleeping with is none of my business. Who I sleep with is none of your business. But as long as you understand, sleeping with an opposite sex or with the same sex is a business. That's why when your business don't work out, that's your business. Thank God it's none of my business.
But it's all racket.
You understand?
It's all a racket. All business, all forms of business is a racket. It's someone exploiting. Like, in other words, when we look at the war of the sexes, back in the 70s, right? The minute the man loses is when he starts down the road of compromise. When you're in a position of power, the moment you lose is when you start to compromise.
Right. Well, that's what you can do when you need a job. You just do what they tell you to do because you need the job. So just shut up and do what we tell you. Why? Because you don't have any country. America, the land of the free and the home of the brave. You're not free or brave.
Wow.
You're just an employee. So shut up and do your job or you're fired. Now let's see how you're going to operate with your 5 kids and no job.
Oh, that's where we're at right now with this coronavirus.
Today the secret government can tell everybody you stay home, you shut your business down. You'll notice we didn't ask you, we told you. You shut your business down and shut your mouth with it. You just stay home till we damn well tell you go back to work. Well, where is your freedom and liberty and justice? There ain't no freedom or liberty. It's a corporation incorporated in Delaware, 1870, a Delaware corporation. And it's a company, and you are an employee of the company, and they told you, stay home and shut your mouth and stay out of the way. Why? Because that's why today you have to have a seatbelt. When you get into your car, you have to hook up your seatbelt, and you have to be able to have a license. Let me explain to you. When you get a brand new car, you go in and buy a new car. With that new car, you get something called an operator's manual. Why? Because you are considered by law to be an operator, and therefore you have to know how to operate your car correctly. Tell you where to change oil and all the things you can and can't do. So therefore, you are an operator of the vehicle. But if you're going to use those wheels to make money, you're going to buy that car so you can have a taxi or a cab. Now you're using those wheels that you bought not to be an operator, but to be a business.
Correct.
Now, if you're going to be a business, then you better have a license, a license to do business. So therefore, you're no longer an operator of a vehicle. You're now a driver. You're a bus driver, a truck driver. A driver is different than an operator. You are a driver. Therefore, that means you're using your wheels, all 18 wheels on your semi, or the 2 wheels on your motorcycle. You're using it as a delivery person on your motorcycle. Therefore, you're a driver, and you have to have a license. It's called a driver's license.
Yep.
Unless, of course, you buy a car just for yourself, well, then you don't need a driver's license because you're not driving. Driving under maritime law, court will tell you a driver is someone who is on the wheels, using the wheels to make money. So if you're driving a bus, you're a bus driver, a truck driver, a cab driver. You are a driver, means you're in business, making money. Therefore, you have to have a license, a driver's license. But it's an incredible story how all of this stuff works. It has to do with maritime law, the law of water. And since you were born, you came out of your mother's water, and therefore you are a maritime product.
Right. Can we clarify something?
Ships.
Can we clarify something to the uninitiated? When you talk about maritime law, you're talking about the king of that pyramid being the Pope, the Catholic Church.
That's right, exactly. That's why the Pope, where he sets his call, the Holy See.
Mm.
The Holy See is a sea where water is. The sea is called the Holy See. The maritime admiralty law is the law of water. The law of the cash flow, the liquid asset. The liquid asset is water. Therefore, that's why when you were born, you came out of your mother's water.
Right.
And so, two different kinds of law on the earth. There's the law of the land and the law of the sea, the law of water. The law of water is the law of money, banking, credit cards. That's the law of the sea. That's why we say money goes through your hands like water. No, money is water.
Right. And billionaires and millionaires essentially dam up the current to produce their wealth.
That's right, exactly. So now you can't pay for your home while it's underwater.
Mm.
And so you need to get bailed out. That's why when you go to court, you're on the maritime admiralty of water. That's why when you go into court, you have to sit down, and the outside there's a gate, there's a fence between you and the court where the judge sits. There's a fence. And at that fence is a little gate, and on top of that little wooden gate, that little gate is a strip of wood, and it's called a floodgate. And therefore, when you come in, you sit on the outside where the people sit. But if you're a lawyer and you've taken the law course, and you're a lawyer, you can walk in and just walk right past the gate. And so you put your hand on the piece of wood and open up the gate. That gate is called a water gate.
Wow.
Like the hotel, the water gate. It's a gate that holds the water in. But you just open up the gate, which means that you are now letting whoever goes through that gate is now in hot water.
Mm.
Because you are, and so therefore, since you're in hot water, you need to get bailed out. And if you can't get bailed out, your body is considered water. Your body is considered a battery. It's a biological battery. And so they take your body, which is a battery, filled with water, and they put it into a cell. That's why you go into jail and be in a cell, because the cell is a battery. And so they're going to put you into a cell and hold your energy is going to be in the cell. They can then sell your energy to corporations. That's why when you go to jail, you don't know it, but the court can take your body and sell it to the corporation. McDonald's Corporation buys your body. The big corporations, the big companies like with some of those big.
Well, like you said,
stores.
McDonald's. A lot of people are not aware. Prisoners make McDonald's people's uniforms. They don't understand this.
But also, the company Walmart takes out a life insurance on every employee.
Yes.
Because they know they're going to work you to death, and when you die, they own the insurance company on your body, and you die, and therefore they get the 30 or 40 or 50 or 100,000, whatever it is, off of you when you die, because they opened up an account, an insurance account on your name if you're in Walmart. So when you die, your family don't get the $100,000. Walmart gets it. So this way, Walmart makes damn sure that you have a death, an insurance on your body when you work for them. So
Wow.
in case you die, they don't care. They just made another 100,000. They don't care. Go out and die. All of you can die. That's all you're doing anyway. You're just taking money for the corporation, for the company.
That's the name of the game. That's the name of the game.
Yep.
It's always, even when you think you're fighting against the system, you're doing exactly what the system wants you to do.
Exactly. That's why when you get married, the man in the marriage, the male in the marriage, he's going to manufacture. What he's going to do is he's going to manufacture. And the woman is going to be in labor.
Wow.
She's going to be building the product that he has manufactured. And so the woman is going to be in labor. She's going to build the creature and build the product. And when the product comes out, it has the reason why all this works the way it does is because when a ship pulls into harbor, it comes in on water.
Right.
And where the ship comes in, it comes in into water, comes on water. When it parks, wherever the ship is parking, it's called its berth. B-E-R-T-H.
Yes.
So if you're going to go on a ship on a tour, you're going to have to find out where the ship is berthed. What berth is she in? And so B-E-R-T-H is where a ship sits at the harbor. It's in her berth. And every item on that ship that's being brought in, if it's $800 million worth of Toyotas or televisions or whatever the ship is bringing into our country for us to buy, each item must by law have its own certificate of manifest.
Right.
It's called a certificate of manifest because each item has to be accounted for. Why? Because Toyota wants to get paid. They spent you $800 million in cars, so they're expecting if you accept it, you will pay for it. And that's why today, when the ship pulls into harbor, she sits in her berth. And why? Because all ships are considered female.
Yes.
They're female ships. That's why captains will always tell you, oh, she's a good ship. She's always been seaworthy. She's always been this, and she's the good. She's done this, and she's done that. Yeah, she's been through a lot of things. Why are ships called she? All captains know their ship, airship, rocket ship, sailing ship. They don't care what it is. A citizenship is all female. She is Mother Liberty, Statue of Liberty, Mother Liberty. She is a ship, and that's why you are on a ship. It's called a citizenship.
Wow.
And so therefore, you have a partnership, a relationship, a dealership, a scholarship. It's all dealing with maritime admiralty water. Why? Because the ships are female, and females are called female because they are on a ship. They are the ship. Why? Because they produce the product.
Right. The
ship that
manifestation.
comes in, they produce the product. And each product has to have a certificate of manifest. Why? Because the ship is sitting in its berth. So each item has to have a birth certificate. So when you're born, you have a birth certificate and it's signed by the dock. Because that's where the ship is sitting, is at the dock. So that's why we call them the dock. The dock has to sign your birth certificate.
You know, to tie this all together, though, it all starts with a lie and a sin. A license, a lie, and a sin.
That's it.
It begins it all.
I love it.
Wow.
The whole world does not work the way you think it does. There's a whole method of operation to the way the world works.
Yes.
It's incredible how deep this rabbit hole goes. The deeper you go, the deeper you see how deep it really is, and then you understand why the United Nations is in New York. because New York is called the Empire State.
Right. The Empire. Yes.
What empire? The Empire State Building. The Empire State. What empire are you talking about? The Roman Empire.
Yes.
Caesar in Rome. Well, the Roman Empire wanted to connect the whole world. Caesar wanted to be God over all the earth. He was the emperor of the Roman Empire, wanted to collect all the nations of the world under Caesar. Talk about greedy. Caesar wanted to be God over the whole earth. And today in New York, the Empire State, which represents the new Roman Empire. And the new Roman Empire has in the city of New York, the Empire State has something called United Nations, in which Caesar has collected all the nations together in New York. The Roman Catholic Church owns, controls, operates, finances, and directs the United Nations because it's Caesar of Rome is conducting world business with the whole world. And so New York is the Empire State because it represents the Roman Empire, and the United Nations represents the rest of the poor schlubs around the earth. It represents all the poor working class people of the world that's under New York. It's under the Empire State. And we are building an empire called the United Nations. And it's in New York.
We're just slaves. We're just wave slaves. We're, back in the old days, they used to have plantations, Jordan, where the slave had his little shanty and you were tucked away. But now we're quite literally on a global plantation and we're just pharaoh slaves. Have to make it the best way we can.
That's right. I think I could talk for the next 8 to 10 hours and explaining things to you that you're not supposed to know and that I will be in trouble for talking about in public.
Right.
So if you really want to see some of the dark stuff that I'm talking about, go on my website, Jordan Maxwell Show. Always add the word show, because that's my website. And so go on Jordan Maxwell Show and join my research website. It's right there in front of you. When you go on the first page of Jordan Maxwell Show, it will tell you, here is Jordan Maxwell's research. If you want to join, click on it and join. It's an extraordinary collection of information you've never heard before. That's what I do. That's who I am. That's what I do. I try and enlighten the whole world.
And we're better off because of your efforts, Jordan. We're so better off.
Yeah, well, I appreciate it.
Well, I appreciate you sharing your time. I do. I mean, for folks who don't know, me and Jordan talked for about 45 minutes prior to going live, okay? And it was a fascinating conversation. We talked about some really hardcore issues like we have here on the live stream. And just in leaving, Jordan, I want to ask you this question again. To the next Jordan Maxwell out there who may be hearing this broadcast today, what wisdom can you give that individual?
Well, I would say there's no success without putting in the time. I've spent 60 years of my time in my life wanting to know. Most people do not want to know.
Correct.
You have to want to know. You have to have an insatiable curiosity to want to know, how does this world work? When you go into court, what is a judge? Where did the words come from? Why are we going to do this? Why are we told to do that? I thought we were free Americans. No, you're a U.S. citizen. That means you are a security for a corporation. And the corporation is referred to as the body social. That's why when you retire, instead of going home at night after work, you're retiring. Now, when you retire for good, you get something called Social Security.
Right.
Why? Because you are the security for the corporation called the body social. So you are the security for the corporation. They give you back a little percentage to keep your mouth shut and go home and stay home and retire and go watch TV and drink your beer and stay out of the way and don't ask too many questions and keep your nose clean and don't do anything we tell you not to do. And therefore we'll give you a little social security. And it just keeps you alive so you keep your mouth shut. So you don't go out crying about how much you don't have and how you were ripped off. Of course you were ripped off. You came in looking for it. And that's why you got ripped off. The government was actually, the fact of the matter is, the Federal Reserve and the Federal Reserve and the Internal Revenue. Why is it called internal revenue?
Yes.
Yeah, you better look at that. Why is it called the internal? What's it internal to? It's not external revenue. It's internal revenue. It has to do with the founding of the Federal Reserve, which was not federal or a reserve. It's a corporation. And when they were originally founded, many, many years ago, when they were originally founded, the corporation headquarters for the Federal Reserve and the Internal Revenue was in Puerto Rico. Most people do not know that they were founded in Puerto Rico. Puerto Rico was the corporate headquarters for the Federal Reserve and the Internal Revenue. Why Puerto Rico? Pirates of the Caribbean. Wake up.
The booty.
Pirates of the Caribbean. Disney even knew it. The 33rd degree Freemason Disney knew about the Pirates of the Caribbean and makes a ride in Disneyland called Pirates of the Caribbean. The Pirates of the Caribbean are what we call today the Federal Reserve and the Internal Revenue, founded in Puerto Rico, the Pirates of the Caribbean.
Wow.
Oh my God, how much you don't know.
When you said that, the only thing I could think of, Puerto Rico is quite literally the same aspect as in the city of London, how they had the Cayman Islands. They had the Cayman Islands to hide their booty. And we had the Puerto Rico to hide our booty.
Yeah, and the Cayman is an alligator.
Yes, vicious critter.
So my point being is that, why do we have a national bird called the eagle? Boy, what a story that is. Why do you have an American bald eagle? And on the back of a $1 bill, why do you have a pyramid? A triangle pyramid is the same reason why when you go in the Western world, you go into any public building like a hotel, motel, or big department store. You go to the men's room in the big hotels, you always see on the door of a men's room a triangle.
Yes.
And you see on the women's room a circle. The circle and triangle. What are you talking about? Well, the circle is the Stonehenge. Stonehenge is referred to as the magic circle. It represents the female, the feminine principle of life. She's the one that keeps adding to the circle, to keep the circle going. If she doesn't have babies, one day there's going to be no children, period.
Right.
Which means there will be no humans, period. And therefore the circle has finally been broken. So that's why women are continually giving birth to children, to keep the circle of life going, which is represented by Stonehenge, the magic circle. But why is the men's room always a triangle? Well, the triangle is a pyramid. A pyramid is a triangle. But we call it a pyramid. It's not really a pyramid, it's pyra. P-Y-R-A. Pyramid. Pyra is a fire. Pyromaniac,
techniques.
Pyro is a fire. So therefore, pyramid. So what does the word pyramid mean? It means fire in the middle. Mid means middle, and pyra means fire. Pyramid. Right. So the pyramid means fire in the middle. What are you talking about? Why is it a men's restroom? It's because a pyramid in Egypt represents fire in the middle. What are you talking about? It's the fire of sex in the middle of the male body.
Wow.
It's not on the feet. It's not the head. It's in the middle of the body. It's in the middle of the human body. And it's a fire called sex. The sexual fire, like the song, Come On Baby, Light My Fire. The fire of sex is in the middle of the body and is represented by the pyramid in Egypt. The pyramid is a sexual symbol. It also has to do with energy, and energy is light. Well, yeah. Yes. And so there's a big story there. If you know about the hidden world of Egypt and what the words really mean and what the symbols actually mean, that's why it's on the back of the $1 bill. Because at the top of the pyramid on the $1 bill, at the very top is a triangle with an eye in it.
Yes.
Also the eye and the triangle. The eye and the triangle represents the Jewish Messiah, the one the Jews refer to as Messiah, who is to come back, who was we're told is to be reborn and come back into the world and come back for the second coming, the Messiah. Well, the Messiah in Hebrew is a triangle with an eye on top of the pyramid. Look up the word in Hebrew, and you will see that the Messiah is a triangle perched on top of a pyramid. And if you go to the Bible reference works in Christianity, you will see that Jesus is referred to as a triangle sitting on top of a pyramid with an eye in it. So the eye on the pyramid is the Jewish Messiah, or for Christians, Jesus, the Messiah. So that's where it comes from. So when we hear that the eye is the eye of Lucifer, that's true. The eye is the eye of Lucifer. Why? Because Jesus said in Revelation 22:16, the very last chapter of the Bible is in the book of Revelation. The last page on the Bible is referred to as Revelation 22. And in 22:16, Jesus said, I, Jesus, I am Lucifer. Period. End of sentence. That's what Jesus said. I, Jesus, am telling you I am Lucifer. Go back and read it. 22:16 of Revelation. And it says, I, Jesus, I am Lucifer. So when you talk about Lucifer, you're talking about Jesus. Jesus is Lucifer. I didn't say that. Revelation said that. You don't like it? Go talk to the people who wrote the book of Revelation and talk to them and tell them. Yes?
Well, that would make sense when you think about the Trinity, when you go from a monolithic situation where you only have one God to a triumvirate where you have basically three gods, which basically echoes like the Greek situation and the Romans with Jupiter, Saturn, and Pluto, or like Zeus, Hades, and Poseidon. You know, there's a Trinity, and then you have Father, Son, Holy Ghost. So,
and why do you have Christianity, Judaism, and Islam?
Wow.
3 major religions. Why 3? Why don't you have 14 major religions? You only got 3.
Because 3 is it's the foundation. Like you were talking earlier. 3 is the foundation.
Because the three religions are the 3 triangle that's supporting religion on the earth. Triangle. That's why when you go to a circus, you have a 3-ring circus.
Yes.
Why? Because the three-ring circus is Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. The three-ring circus. Why? Because the very word circus gives you the word today. Our word church comes from circus. Therefore, churches are referred to as a circus, the three-ring circus. And therefore, when you find out where the word church comes from, boy, what a story that is.
That's
People
so
would be ashamed if they knew where the word circus comes from.
So there's no reason, there's no wonder why they're being run by clowns.
Yes, you got that right. No doubt about that. The leaders in the churches are a bunch of clowns. That's why it's called a church. Church goes back to the word Circe. You need to do research on words. Where do they come from? And my God, I'm 80 years old. I'm tired.
Yes.
I've already been talking too long. But if you get me one day when I'm just got plenty of energy and had some plenty of coffee and wide awake, I can sit and talk for 8 to 10 hours on stuff in religion, government, commerce, and how the earth, in fact, works. And who is really running the planet. That's a very interesting story. You find out who owns this planet, who's running the world.
Vanguard and BlackRock. I mean, you just heard that BlackRock is going to be doing the trades on the stock market, and the Fed and the Treasury are supposed to unite into one organization. Dude, the first world, the new liberal world order is here. It's in your face, peasants. You critical workers understand this with the paperwork that can actually travel, but you non-essential folks should get the message, man. They're not going to give this power up. They got the power now. They're not going to give it up.
Yeah, and if your daughter is getting married and she's marrying a wealthy young man from a very wealthy family, we say things like, well, she's getting married to this guy. Yeah, but he's a good stock. What do you mean he's a good stock? She's marrying a cow. No, she's marrying a wealthy young man, and he's a good stock. And then when they get married, they will have a backyard for the children play, and it's a stockyard. And so you need to understand you are stock on the maritime half of the, stock market.
Right. You're traded. But what would you say to Jordan, to people? Oh, Jordan and True, you guys are wrong. I'm a sovereign citizen. I'm a private citizen. I got my natural rights, bud. What would you tell those people?
Well, go talk to a police officer when he pulls you over, and tell him about your rights.
Wow.
Try it. Yeah, just try it. Go out and when you go to the court, you're going into federal court where you're going to be charged with something very serious where you could get 25 years to life. Yeah, tell the judge and tell the whole courtroom when you're standing before the judge, tell him that you're an American, you have rights. Wow. And he'll say, I'll tell you what, son, I'm the judge here. You're going to jail. So get out of my courtroom. Take him away. And you'll find out you don't have any rights. You better get a lawyer. You better get somebody who knows how to talk and walk the walk.
Someone who hangs out at the bar.
That's right. You better pay a good lawyer because you are in serious trouble with the federal courts. And there's no way you're going to tell the judge in a federal court, I have rights. You don't have any rights, son. You are not a United States American citizen. You are a U.S. citizen, a corporate citizen of a corporation.
You're like a stock or a bond at that point. Stocks and bonds don't talk. They just have results.
You're going to be in bonds because you're a stock, and you're going to be in bonds. We're going to bond you.
Wow.
That's why they put you in jail. You're going to be in bonds because you are stock.
Wow. What we're talking about to the uninitiated folks out there, a lot of you younger viewers, we're talking about slavery and we're talking about freedom. Quite literally. Either you're enslaved or you're free. And unfortunately,
the whole earth is in prison.
wow. There it is.
Period.
You're prisoners of war. Every last one of you.
The Bible says the God of this world is Satan, the devil.
Lucifer.
You take an O out of the word good, it becomes God. God is good. You take a word, the letter D, as in David, take the letter D and put it in front of the word evil. It becomes devil, evil.
Right.
So devil is evil and God is good. Just words. But when you get into a federal court, they're not interested in the words. They're interested in political power. They will tell you what you can do and what you can't do. You better say yes, sir, and no, sir, and rise when the judge walks in. You better rise when he walks in, because that's what you do in a Catholic church. When the priest walks onto the altar, everyone rises. Why? For the same reason. He represents God.
Wow. He's the most worshipful.
This is why the Pope is called the Holy Father. The Holy Father in Rome, why is he a Holy Father? Because he represents God. He's a Godfather. Get it?
I got a question with the Catholics, though. Why is the Queen of England the queen, basically, of the English church, and she's also, more importantly, the Queen of Malta, which is the military arm of the Catholic Church? Why does she have that much power?
It was a deal that was made many, many years ago when the Pope made a deal with the King of England. And the King of England was in no position to decide. He didn't want to have a deal with the Pope. The Pope was in the right chair at the right time with the right power, and the Pope made a deal with the King of England. He didn't ask him about the deal. He told him the deal. So the Pope was saying to the King of England, I'm not asking you to join a corporation or be a part of my corporation. I'm damn well telling you. You don't like it? Watch what's going to happen to England.
Wow.
Because I have all of Europe under my feet. All of Europe. Spain, Portugal, Germany, all of Europe is under the Vatican. He's the Holy Father. Why? Because he represents God. He's a Godfather.
Vicar of Christ.
Don't ever forget who the Godfather is. And when the Godfather says, I want your country, I want your people, and you say no, well, watch what's going to happen. Because I'm the Godfather, that all the leaders of the nations of the world come and bow down before me and kiss my ring. You better kiss my ring and bow down before me, because if I decide I don't like you, you are out of business. So let me make you a new deal. Here's the new deal. Well, Roosevelt made us a new deal. You used to be called an American. We got a new deal for you. From here on out, you're no longer an American. You don't have any rights. You don't have any privileges. You don't have no protections, zero. The new deal is you work for a corporation, so shut your mouth, buy your beer, and watch a silly-ass ball game, or we'll throw your ass in jail.
Yeah, they gave us circus, and they gave us bread. I mean, circus on so many levels: religion, entertainment, and bread, substance to eat. And it's GMO, it's frankenfood, it's bad for us, and we have this virus. You know, do you see a point in time where the young people will finally get it, where us older folks failed?
No. I don't see a time, because people tell me all the time, well, you know, there's a light at the end of the tunnel. And I said, yeah, it's a train coming here, Ed. There's no light. There's a light coming. Yeah, there's a light at the end of the tunnel. It's a train coming.
Oh.
I don't think there's any hope. None. Zero. That's my opinion based on 60 years of intense research into the occult world I live in. I will tell you, I do not believe America will ever be able to extricate itself out of the mess we're in. Never. Why? Because the people do not want. They do not want to know. They love to be a prisoner. They love to have daddy tell them what they can do or what they can't do. And mama takes care of them and feeds them. And daddy takes care of them and he finances and takes care of them. Never realizing that what you're doing is you're asking for slavery.
Yes.
You're asking the government to control you. And the government will do whatever you tell them to do. You say you want to control us. Well, we want you to control us and tell us what we can do and what we can't do. And the government will be very happy to do just that, because that's what Caesar was going to do. He was going to tell you how you can live and what you can do, what you can't do. And you better get a license on anything you want to do. You better ask permission. It's a statue of liberty, not freedom.
Right.
It's liberty.
And liberty is always
you
asked.
better ask. Liberty means you ask permission. You don't just go out and get in your dad's car because you got a date tonight and drive off. You better not ever do that. You ask permission. And if he gives you permission and tells you you better be back at a certain time, you better be back at a certain time, because he didn't give you freedom. He gave you the liberty to use his car, not freedom. So when you're a sailor, you come in on a sailing ship into a harbor. That's why you see the Statue of Liberty, because you can get off there and go on the land if the captain gives you liberty.
Correct.
And incidentally, the Statue of Liberty is not a woman. Go back and read the documents. The Statue of Liberty is a man in a robe of a judge's robe. It's a man carrying a torch. It's called the Promethean Torch of Liberty.
Whoa.
My God, if you understood what the Promethean Torch of Liberty represents, you will be ashamed of yourself to have the Statue of Liberty in America. But the French Grand Orient Temple Masons, the French Masonic Order, who designed the Statue of Liberty and built it and sent it over to us and sent it on ships over to us, and they came over and constructed it for us in America. No. Why? Because they knew what they were going to do. The French Grand Orient Temple Masons, the Masonic Lodge, who are now built in America, a corporation that now owns all of us, our children, our babies, our wives, our husbands, our families, are owned as a piece of merchandise by the corporation set up by the French Grand Orient Temple Masons. Now, today, when Steven Spielberg makes a movie called Indiana Jones, Raiders of the Lost Ark, you will remember in the movie, if you saw it, you would remember that there was a Frenchman who was leading the Nazis to find the lost Ark of the Covenant. Right. The Jewish lost Ark of the Covenant. They had the Nazis, Hitler sent the Nazis over to look for the lost Ark also. But the Nazis were being led by a Frenchman, if you remember. Yeah.
Wow.
Why a Frenchman? Nobody seems to have wondered about that. I wondered about it because I know that Steven Spielberg is a lot of things, but stupid is not one of them.
Correct.
Very bright guy. He knows exactly what he's doing when he puts a Frenchman leading the Nazis. And when in the movie Indiana Jones and Raiders of the Lost Ark, in the beginning of the movie, Indiana Jones is called into the library by government agents representing the U.S. government. And they tell him, we picked you to go out and find the lost Ark of the Covenant. And you'll notice, I think, that we didn't ask you. We're telling you. So the federal government telling you. That's what we want. We want that lost Ark. So you better get your ass out there and find it, because the Nazis are looking for it too. And if they find that Ark before we do, we're going to be in serious, big-time downtown trouble. So you need to get yourself out there real quick. And don't give me any story about what you need. Anything you need, just tell us and you'll have it. Whatever you need is money and equipment and people, whatever you need, tell us and you will have it immediately. But you better find that ark because the president said, don't ask, we're telling.
Wow.
And so therefore, Indiana Jones, where does he go first? Because he knows he's going to find the lost Ark of the Covenant, the Hebrew lost Ark of the Covenant. Where is he going to go to look for it? Well, he goes to Nepal, India. Why did he go to Nepal first? There's a very interesting question. Why did Indiana Jones have to go to Nepal, India first?
Right.
Before he goes to look for it? Is that what happened? Did you see the movie?
Yeah. Well, why did he go there first to India?
He went to India, you remember?
Right.
Okay, why did he have to go to India to find the lost Ark of the Covenant?
Right.
Because in the movie, he was looking for a little medallion, some kind of a little crystal medallion, some kind of little crystal which will tell him where the Ark is located. Remember?
Yes.
Looking for a little crystal, and so were the Nazis. They're not stupid. They were looking for the crystal too. Like Spielberg showed you in the movie, the Nazis were a lot of things, but stupid was not one of them. They were far more educated than you even begin to know how much they knew. They knew that if you're going to find that lost Ark of the Covenant of the Hebrews, you better go to Nepal, India first. Because you ain't going to find nothing if you don't go to Nepal first. Why? Because the Nazis knew what the story was all about. And Steven Spielberg knew what the story was all about, too. And that's why he put Indiana Jones in Nepal first. And so when Indiana Jones finally gets that little medallion, the little crystal that he needs, the crystal he needs, now he goes to find the lost Ark of the Covenant. Where does he go? Does he go with that new crystal he found? Does he go to the Holy Land, to Israel? No. Why? Because there ain't nothing holy in the Holy Land.
Wow.
The only thing holy in the Holy Land are the stories. They're full of holes. There is no such a thing as Holy Land. It's a Nepal, India is where you need to go. If you're Nazis working for Adolf Hitler, or if you're Indiana Jones working for the United States of America, you better go to Nepal first. Why? Because that's where the name of the tune is. Now, once he went to Nepal and he found the little art, he found that little crystal, now where does he go? Well, Indiana Jones, we're told, is not stupid. So he is a brilliant man, supposedly, an archaeologist. So he's the one who would know where to go and what to do. And so where does he go? Well, wherever he goes, that's where you need to go, because he knows something you don't know. So where does Indiana Jones go once he gets that crystal? He goes to Egypt.
Yep.
And be damned if he doesn't find the lost ark. It's in Egypt. It's in a tomb in the Valley of the Kings. It's in Egypt, not the Holy Land. It has nothing to do with the Holy Land. It's an Egyptian temple. And there's a Frenchman that's leading the Nazis. Wow, what a story that was being told the people of this world in Indiana Jones.
But they're oblivious. They're oblivious to it.
What a story. But people are so ignorant, ill-informed, and unread, and have not studied the world of the dark world of the occult that's running our planet. They have no idea in the world what that movie was all about. It was telling them something then. And so then they find a lost ark in Egypt. Why did they find the lost ark in the Egyptian temple in Egypt? It's because the whole story of the Ark of the Covenant in the Old Testament, the Jews with the Ark of the Covenant, it's a Egyptian story. It has nothing to do with being Jewish or Hebrew whatsoever, period. It's an Egyptian story that's been hidden. But Spielberg knew what the story was, and he places the Lost Ark in Egypt. That's where it was supposed to be, in Egypt. Because the Ark was not called the Ark of the Covenant, it was called the Ark of the Contract. And the contract was with Pharaoh. It's an incredible story when you understand nothing is what you thought it was. The Lost Ark has nothing to do with Jewish or Hebrew. The Lost Ark is an Egyptian symbol. It comes from Egypt. It's called the Ark of the Contract. Well, in Hebrew, a contract is called a covenant. So it was the Lost Ark of the Covenant. No, a covenant is a contract. Go back before. Do some understanding. And you'll find out that Indiana Jones was right. He found the Lost Ark in Egypt because of the Egyptian symbol dealing with the Egyptian religion, dealing directly with Pharaoh Akhenaten. If you don't understand Akhenaten, you're not going to understand the swastika, you're not going to understand Nazi Germany, you're not going to understand England or the British, you're not going to understand America, you're not going to understand nothing about this world unless you understand the Pharaoh Akhenaten. Pharaoh Akhenaten was the Pharaoh who introduced into the world the idea of sun worship. And today, this is what we have in the world today. It's called sun worship. Right. S-O-N or S-U-N, it doesn't matter. It's still the same word. S-O or S-U. A-E-I-O-U. All the same word. S-U-N is S-O-N. S-U-N in America, we say that thing that comes up in the morning. It's very bright and round. It wakes everyone up. That's called the S-U-N. But if you're in Europe, Germany, when that globe rises and lights up the earth, they spell it S-O-N, not S-U-N. Why? Because either one is correct. The S-U-N, S-O-N is actually that globe that brings light into the world. Right. That's why we say that Jesus is God's Son, the light of the world. Well, of course, the sun is the light of the world. What else lights our world without the sun? Exactly. So when you say Jesus is God's Son, it's S-U-N, not S-O-N. It's sun worship from Rome. This is given to us by the Roman Catholic Church. The Roman Catholic Church gives us the worship of God's Son, the light of the world. Well, of course, the sun is the light of the world. And then we're told that God's Son is our risen Savior. Well, of course, God's Son, S-U-N, is our risen Savior. Because it rises every morning about 5:30. And you better thank God it rises. Because if the sun don't rise every morning, in 3 weeks we're going to be dead. This earth will be nothing but solid ice without the sun rising to give us warmth, to give us energy, and to make our plants grow and our children grow, and we will have energy to work and build. So the Son of God, God's Son, is the light of the world. And the ancient Egyptians said the sun is pure energy. And pure energy means it's pure light. Light is energy. Energy is light. And when a battery runs out of power, we call it a dead battery. Why? Because it has no energy. Energy is light. And so the ancient Egyptians said that the sun, if the sun were to keep its energy and not share it with all the planets in our solar system, the sun could last forever and ever, would never die. Why? Because the sun itself is pure energy. And if he didn't give away his energy, ultimately he's giving it away for free every day. God's Son is giving away his energy, which basically means one day he will die. One day the sun will die out because it's giving away its energy. So we say in our religion, God's Son died so you might live. Wow. He gave his life so that you might live. Yeah. the sun is giving its energy so that you may have babies and eat and have food and have cattle and live on the earth. And as long as there's a sun and as long as there's cattle and people on the earth, they will live forever, as long as the sun keeps giving energy for the next billion years. But it will not last forever. There will come a day when the sun will have to die because he's giving all his energy away. So our religions teach us that God's Son died so we could live. He gave his life so we might live. Why? Because he is our resurrected and our risen Savior. Why? Because it rises every morning. And it is your Savior, because if it don't come up tomorrow morning, the earth is going to freeze over real quick.
Yes.
And you're going to be under miles and miles of glaciers also on the earth. And you are gone forever. Your children, your earth, your life, the whole world is gone without the sun. So God's Son is the light of the world, our risen Savior.
That's so powerful when you put it in such perspective. You know,
yep. To understand how things work. I've been looking at this subject for 60 years. I'm fascinated with how much we don't know. How much the human race is so ignorant, ill-informed, and unread. We don't know what words mean. We don't understand how things work. We don't understand. It's like somebody having a beautiful Rolls Royce and his home, and there's a highway, an interstate highway out in front of his house, about a half a mile away. It was a big interstate highway. But because you have a Rolls Royce and there's a big highway, the problem is from your house to that highway, you don't have a road. So you're not going anywhere. I don't care how big a car you've got. So that's the same thing today. We got religions, we got government, we got money, we got everything except knowledge. We don't know nothing, about nothing, concerning nothing, and concerning nothing. We don't know what's going on. We don't know how the government is controlled, who prints the money, where the Holy Father comes from, and why he represents God, because he's the Godfather. We don't understand how the Godfather gave birth to Godfathers in the mob, the Buckies, and the families, etc., because it's all, America is a criminal empire.
Wow.
It's an absolutely criminal empire. And therefore we have an empire state. America is the new Rome. Because if you go back into history, you will see that Caesar ruled the world of his day. He was called the emperor of the empire. And he ruled the world from Rome. Well, when Caesar took over all of the world of his time, except for Britannia, except for Britain. Britain was not connected to Europe. And Caesar knew about Britain, and he was not happy that he was the god of all of the world of his time, all the world of Rome, except for Britannia. And he gave orders. He wants Britannia. I want Britannia, and I want it as soon as possible. Go get Britannia from me. Put it under my rule. Put it under my rule. And so Britannia became the place where Caesar was going to, the next place Caesar was going to take over was Britannia, what we call Britain. And when Caesar went into Brittany, where did he set up his government?
London?
He set up his government.
Londinium, I believe it was called at the time.
Yeah, well, where it was York, England. York was where Caesar was ruling England from. York. And that's why when we come today to America, we have a New York. New England. New York. And New York is the empire state, is the new Roman Empire in New York. Wow. And my God, I mean, when I get on these subjects, I could go for 8 to 10 hours if I could. if I could last that long.
Well, I just
telling you things that you never heard.
Exactly. And we're all the wiser for this. I mean, we're going on 2 hours here. This is basically double a normal show, but it's only because of the information you have to share with us, Jordan. It's just that important.
Well, I appreciate it. I try my best to help my fellow man awaken to what's going on. And that's why our government is back in Virginia and Maryland. Virginia Virginia comes from vagina. Vagina is a female. Vagina or Virginia. And vagina is the vagina of Jesus' mother Mary, Mary Land. And so the land of Mary is vagina, the vagina of Mary Land. And so that's why we have Virginia and Maryland, where the government is.
Right.
It's because the government is a Roman Empire. It sits in the vagina of Mary, Mary, the mother of Jesus, is a version. There's a whole story called astrotheology. One day when you have another couple of hours, we could do another interview where I talk for the next 2.5 to 3 hours about the religion that we call Christianity and show you where it came from, what the words mean, what the symbols represent, and why you go to church. And why is it on a church you have stained glass windows, which are arch windows. They have arches in the windows, and the door to the church is an arch. It's a pointed arch. Doors on churches have pointed arches. Why? Because it represents the female, the vagina. That's why she is. The church is called Mother Church. Why is it called Mother Church? Because it's on Mother Earth. It's part of Mother Nature. Mother Earth, Mother Nature, Mother Church. And that's why you have God the Father. God the Father, in the ancient Hindu, God the Father was called Rain, R-A-I-N. Go look it up in the dictionary. The most ancient Hindu God was a male. He was called God the Father. His name was Rain, R-A-I-N. Today we say that the rain, R-A-I-N. And when we get rainy weather, the rain is the sacred fluid coming out of God the Father to impregnate Mother Earth, Mother Nature. Mother Earth and Mother Nature are being impregnated by God the Father with rain. That's the sacred fluid he's putting into her to cause new life to come. And it does. When the rains come, the new life begins to grow.
Yes.
And new flowers and new food grows because of God the Father impregnating Mother Earth. And so, but in the land of Canaan, which we call Israel today, that's a whole story. I'd have to go back and do another 2.5 hours on the foundations of modern day Judeo-Christianity and where it really actually came from and what it actually, in fact, actually means. And then for the first time, you will see, oh my God, now I see where Christianity and Judaism actually come from. It's an incredible story, but it's been hidden for all these years right in front of you. You never saw it. Why? Because you weren't interested to see it. You just accept it. Yeah, well, you can just accept communism or just accept organized crime or just accept your kids are on drugs. Just accept everything. Just go along to get along and accept it. You can buy your beer, watch your ball game, and just accept everything. I don't accept anything.
Right.
I'm not a fool. I'm not a fool. I know what BS looks like. I know what lies are. I've been around organized crime. I know what it is. I know what the United States Congress is. Look up the word Congress in a law dictionary. Congress is a word for sex in the Roman Empire. Sex in the Roman Empire was called Congress. You co-rest and you end up with Congress. Congress is sex. So therefore, when we talk about how the government of this country is screwing the people blind, that's what it means. Congress is sex in Latin.
That's
incredible how much we don't know. I mean, like I said, I hate to say it, but I say it again. I'm tired because I'm 80 years old, but I wish I could sit as a 50-year-old. I wish I could sit for 10 hours and just have the whole 10 hours recorded and put out into the world all stuff in the world that you did not know. All of the lies, deceptions, and lies and deceptions you never knew, you never understood why the government does this, why the government does that, why is he on a motorcycle, why are cops called the police, why do we have jails, and why is it when you go into jail that put you in a cell? That's what we call a battery. Batteries are in cells. And what happens to a battery? When you have a battery cell, you have to put water in it. Well, we are 80% water.
Yes.
So we are a biological battery. And therefore, when we run out of energy, we say, my God, I'm dead tired. And if you don't sleep, one day you're just going to collapse, and you will sleep because the body demands it. And you are dead tired, therefore you're dead, because you have no energy, and therefore you're tired because you are a biological battery, and you've run out of water, you're dry, and therefore you're a battery. And they're going to put you in a cell, but you have to be bailed out. That's what you do with a boat that's taking on too much water. You have to bail it out. So you have to be bailed out.
It's when
Why?
you use these words.
You're in hot water. You got to be bailed out. And if you don't have the money to bail yourself out, then they'll put you in a battery. They'll put you in a cell.
You know, would it be quite honest to say, Jordan, that all the power on earth is in words?
Of course it is. Of course it is. That's why you have to be an attorney. You gotta be a licensed lawyer or an attorney. Why? Because if you're going to talk about law, you got to get a license. You can't just talk about law and be an attorney. You got to have a license.
Yes.
Why? Because you are making money. You're making money off of people because you have studied a law book. Well, if you've studied the law books and you pass your test, and now you're a lawyer, the only way you're going to become a lawyer is if you get a license. So you have to go take the test and get your license. Now, once you get your license, that means you are now licensed to practice law. And so, therefore, you are practicing law. And it's an interesting story because you are, I mean, I like I said, I get to where I start talking about this stuff, and there's just so much, I just forget most of it. I can't remember everything, but I've learned everything, learned it all, heard it all. I've seen it all. I've been in the company of the people who do it. I know exactly what's going on in courts. I've sat and talked with the federal judges and with the attorneys, the federal attorneys. My mother used to tell me when I was a child, when I was growing up, my mother used to tell me all the time. She harped on this one subject. She always told me, you are from my family, my mother would say. You're my family. My family was the Carrolls. I come from the Carroll family, my mom would tell me as a little kid. That meant zero, nothing to me. I don't know what she was talking about, the Carrolls. And she would always spell it when she told me. Carrroll. Carroll is the Carroll family. They're from Washington, D.C., the Carroll family. And that's who I am, and that's who you are. Don't ever forget, you are the Carroll family. And so I know that she was right because she had two uncles that were both judges in my hometown in Florida, and their last name was Carroll. And I was taken to court sometimes when her uncles were presiding over court. We would go to court to see her Uncle Carroll. Frank and John Carroll, John C. Carroll and Frank Carroll were judges in my hometown. So when she told me about the Carroll family, well, I understand. She does have uncles who are named Carroll, and they are in government. They were appointed to the federal bench. So that much I knew as a kid. But I don't know what the significance of that is. Who the hell cares? It's a long time ago. Well, it wasn't until 1999 when I read the book. I came across the book Rulers of Evil by Tupper Saucy. Rulers of Evil was a story about how the Catholic Church founded the United States of America, and how the United States of America was a Roman Catholic operation on the earth, period. I never knew that. I knew about, the Godfathers and all that organized crime stuff. I didn't know that the Catholic Church was responsible for the United States of America being founded. And the book was called Rulers of Evil by Tupper Saucy. And in the book I was reading, I couldn't believe it. He said in the book, the man who actually was responsible for the founding of the United States of America was a man named John C. Carroll, Carroll. It shocked me because I thought, my God, that's what my mother said.
Yes.
And she said she was from the Carroll family. That means I'm from the Carroll family. That means the man who actually financed the American Revolution against the powers that be in Europe, England, was a Carroll, John C. Carroll. And John C. Carroll, if you look it up in the dictionary, he founded the army. He financed. He was the wealthiest man in all of the 13 colonies. There were wealthy men here in the 13 colonies, but he was filthy rich. He was a multi-millionaire back in 1776.
Wow.
When everybody was dealing with quarters and nickels and dimes and a dollar, he was a multi-millionaire. And so he was a close friend, a very deep and close friend to George Washington. They were very close friends. And he made a deal with George Washington. He asked Washington what he wanted to do, and Washington said, I'd like to have a country that's free of England and all the international banking cartels of England. We want to be free and have our own country. And he said, well, that's good. You better get your own army, pal. You better get your own army. And they said, yes, I know that. I can get my army, but I can't pay them. And you're not going to have an army very long if you don't pay them.
Exactly.
They don't eat. And so John C. Carroll said, I'll tell you what, you get any size army and get anything you want and tell me what you want, and I'll write you a check. Whatever it is, I will pay for it. Period. I don't care how much it is, I'll pay you. And I'll give you the money to start this revolution. I'll finance it for you. And so John C. Carroll put up the money for George Washington to hire his army for the American Revolution. There would have been no American Revolution without John C. Carroll's money. And so that was interesting. And when I read that in the book Rulers of Evil by Tupper Saucy.
Wow.
Later on, a few years later, the movie came out based on my work. I was told it was based on my work. It was called National Treasure.
Yeah.
National Treasure was the founding of the United States of America with the document. It was all about the Masonic order and the Masonic Lodge and the founding of the United States of America. Well, in that movie, if you go back and watch it, Christopher Plummer, his name was Carroll, John C. Carroll, and he was telling his son, who turns out to be the star of the movie later, telling his son about the Carroll family of Washington, D.C. I was shocked at the movie. This is what my mother was telling me. Was from the Carroll family. And here in the movie, National Treasure was the Carroll family being explained to the audience how they were connected to international Masonic orders that were founded against the British royalty, and England and America was being financed by the Carroll family. And John C. Carroll has founded some of the biggest universities in Washington, D.C. today that have become known as John C. Carroll University. There's all these other big universities that John C. Carroll financed and set them up. And John Carroll was the original financer of the American Revolution. He was also, religiously speaking, a Jesuit. He was a Jesuit Catholic, and he was a very close friend to George Washington. And he helped finance George Washington to do whatever he wanted to do, and ultimately finance the American Revolution. John C. Carroll, my mother's ancestor.
Now,
I was shocked at that.
Do you know, did John C. Carroll own any slaves, or was slavery involved with him making his million?
I'm sure of it. No doubt in my mind about it. He was a Jesuit, and the Jesuits were some of the brightest conspirators the world has ever known. Today we call the Jesuits, and those who know call the Jesuits the Illuminati. That's a term which was given to the Jesuits, the Illuminati.
So we have an Illuminati Pope?
Yeah, so you have an Illuminati Pope.
Oh my gosh.
The Pope of Rome is a Illuminati member. He is Illuminati. He doesn't belong to it as a member. He is the Illuminati. That's why he is Pope, the Holy Father. He is the Holy Father.
Wow.
He represents God. He's a Godfather for the Jesuits. And when you find out who the Jesuits really are, and that was part of my mother's family, but I'm honest enough to say, you better go back and question how come John C. Carroll was a multi-millionaire in the 13 colonies when everybody collectively together had a few bucks. Except John Carroll, he was a multi-millionaire. And he made a deal with George Washington. Go get your army, do whatever you want, tell me how much you need, I'll write you a check. And so George Washington ultimately got the money to finance his army, finance the American Revolution from a Jesuit priest, John C. Carroll. Go look it up in the dictionary. John C. Carroll, Carroll. And that's why I've wondered about why I have been so intensely looking at and studying and researching the occultism of America and the occultism of world government, because I really believe, I could be wrong, but I really believe it's in my blood. That's why I wanted to do what I wanted to do, and I've been studying this for years, over 60 years, because it's just in my blood. I understand how the America was founded. I understand the Jesuit order in America. I understand the Carroll dynasty. John C. Carroll and his brothers financed Washington, D.C. I know how they did it, and I know what's going on and how it all works. I'm just fascinated with how much the American people have never been told.
Right.
I don't know what else to say.
I mean, you said so much.
One hell of a story, boy.
I mean, just adding to the military aspect of what you was talking about, we had a guest on that basically broke down each branch of the military has a certain family, the DuPonts, the Fords, that actually funded them.
Yeah.
And doesn't that, mean when we go to war, we're not going to war because of you and I, are facing a threat. No, we're going to war because these huge corporations are facing a threat in their supply line.
Exactly right. That's precisely right. That's why it's called, what we're doing is called a hostile takeover.
Wow.
It's a term that is used in corporate business. When one corporation is going broke and another one comes and says, we'll buy you out. We'll give you the money to pay all your bills. But when we do that, sucker, we own you.
Yes.
We're not just going to give you the money to help you out. No, we're not going to help you out. We're going to help you out of your business. You're going to give me the business. I'll own it. Because I can do a lot better than you can, because you've had a business and you're broke. I've got a business, but I'm worth hundreds of millions, so I'll buy you out. And then when you say, I don't want to be bought out, well, I'm going to buy you out whether you like it or not. And how do I do that? I go to your creditors. I say, how much money do you have involved in this company that's not doing anything? They say, well, we got $100,000 in this company. I say to them, I'll give you $200,000 in cash tomorrow for that stock. I'll give you $200,000. This way, you've got your money back plus 100% interest.
Correct.
Well, obviously, the companies and these businesses are going to jump at that. We'll still do it today. Don't wait till tomorrow. We'll do it today. And so I can buy out all your creditors, and at the end of the day, I am your only creditor. Everybody you owe, you now owe me. Therefore, I have the legal right to take your company because you owe me, and you can't pay me, and there's no way you're going to pay me. So I take your company, and I now own it. So it used to be yours, it's now mine. It's called a hostile takeover. A hostile takeover. Well, that's what happened in World War II, World War I.
Yeah.
We went in Germany. We asked Germany, would you sell us your corporation in Germany? Because you Germans are brilliant, smart, you really are clever, and we want to own you. So you work for us. The Germans said, no, we're not interested, thank you. We're not interested to sell you nothing. And then we came back and said, well, perhaps you didn't understand. I didn't ask you if you would sell. I said, we want you, airhead. Do you understand what that means? That means we didn't ask you. We're telling you. We're taking you over. And so there was a world war that we were involved in. Most people have no idea what it was all about. All we know was Hitler was this, Hitler was that. We don't know where the money came for the war, who financed it, who was running the war behind the scenes. We just don't understand any of that. It's an extraordinary story, the world you live in.
We have to go into this deeper. I mean, the next time you're on, we have to go into this corporate warfare, but I want to talk about the knowledge that you had about or have potentially about the Rosicrucian, another Catholic set that many people don't understand what they're up about.
Well, yeah, we can talk about that later another time. It's
yes.
a big story. I can tell you all about it.
Yeah, but I definitely want you on, and I want to do something other. I want to invite you on. If you want to come on once a week, we can do this. We talk. We got each other's numbers, but whatever and whenever you have the strength and you want to, just give me a holler. We'll go live immediately. I'm always, I'm self-quarantined now, so I'm going to be in the house for the foreseeable future. But I want to share as much. I know this is a great time to do some interviews. But I want to share as much information with the young people that's not so far gone yet.
That's what I want. That's my feeling. I'm 80 years old, and the only thing I can see of any real value at my age is talking to young people because they are brilliant. They're incredible, beautiful, beautiful young people, and I love them all. And I would love to be able to sit in front of an audience at a university and tell them the real truth.
Yes.
Here it is. Write this down. Bring your pad and pencil, and I'm going to tell you some things you've never heard and you will never hear. I'm the only guy in the town that's going to tell you the real truth of what's really going on, and I'll give you the proof, and you go look for it yourself, and you'll find it. I can tell you things where they are today you've never heard of before, you don't know they exist, and I would love to do that.
I would love to help you.
I feel the same way. I'd love to talk to young people about what the world is and where it's going and where it's come from. It's such a big story, and that's why I said anyone listening should go to my website, JordanMaxwellShow.com, Jordan Maxwell Show, and then join my research website,
Yes.
Jordan Maxwell Research website. You will find stuff on there that's worth $1 million to you. If you went to prison and you're going to prison for life, you're going to be in serious trouble for 25 to 30 years in prison. If you just knew about one of the articles I have on my website, on my research website, you wouldn't go to prison ever if you just knew. But you don't know. I do know. But how do I know? I've spent all my life looking for it, purposely.
Yes.
And I have found stuff there that you have no idea even exists. So that's the best I can tell you for the moment.
Like I said, Jordan,
as long as I'm going to.
I do appreciate the time that you spent today. I know, seriously, I really sincerely from the bottom of my heart do, because the knowledge that you're sharing with us is going to go beyond us. Once we're dead and warm meat gone, hopefully this broadcast will be in some sort of format, applicable or accessible to future generations. At least they'll know that there are a couple of people who got it. We understand what's going on. We just have to wake up the rest.
Oh, God, yes. The people of America need to be awakened.
And that's what we're about.
It's such an incredible story about how much they've never been told, how many lies and deceptions and words and terms. It's really interesting. You know, by law, you are not referred to as a man. In the actual law books in America, you are referred to as an animal. You are referred to as a male or female. The United States Printing Office every so often prints a magazine called the Styles magazine, published by the United States Printing Office. The Styles magazine is a thick magazine that's filled with words that the federal government and the federal courts use. And the Styles magazine tells you what those words that the courts use, that the government uses, what they actually mean in real life. And that's an incredibly valuable publication. If you're going into a federal court, you need to listen to what the judge is saying. Because when he says something, look it up in the Styles magazine, you'll see what it really means. He knows what it means, but he knows that you don't know. And since you don't know, you're going to say things that you think you understand. You're going to say an answer to him when he asks you a question based on what you know out there on the streets. But that's not where you are. You're not on the streets. You're in a federal court. So what you say, your words to the federal judge, can put you into prison. You can be found guilty, go to prison for many years. Why? Because you used words in the courtroom you didn't know what they actually meant.
Wow.
And so it's called the Styles magazine. And boy, when you go to the Styles magazine and look up man, it will tell you a man is a royalty of high standing, wealthy, powerful. Royalty are called man, and the women are called women. Man and woman. But poor people, the poor working class people of the world, are called male and female. They're not called man or woman. They're called male and female. That's why all of your important paperwork, your driver's license, insurance company, your bills from the gas company, your water bill, your rent, every kind of bill or any kind of official business, period, it's always, your name is in capital letters.
Right.
Why? Because the government is capitalizing on your stupidity. They are taking your stupidity and ignorance and capitalizing on it and making money because you didn't know you were an undersider on the cop's ticket. You didn't know when you got insurance what it's all about, who really owns the insurance company. You didn't know any of this. And the government knows you don't know, and they want to keep you at it like damn sure you don't know. So they're capitalizing on your ignorance. That's why we call it capitalists, because they're making money off of you. All you do is just pay and pay and pay to the day you die. You're going to pay this fine, you're going to pay that, you're going to pay this tax, you're going to pay this, you're going to pay that. You're just going to keep paying to the day you die. And when you die, now you're going to hell where you're really going to pay. And, I have a story that I told on the radio before. When I was a little kid, about 7 or 8 years old, when you're born and raised in the Catholic Church, when you're about 8 years old, there's a special mass held for you, a special celebration held for little children. It's called confirmation. And therefore, little children go to confirmation because the whole church service is for the little children. It's called confirmation service. And so I was in Catholic school, and the nuns, I remember the nuns said, tomorrow night at the church, tomorrow night at the special service for you children, and it's going to be called confirmation. You have to be there. It's going to be very important because the bishop is going to be here. So you better be there. It's going to be very important you're there. The whole service is for you children. And then she said, tomorrow night, after the service is over, the bishop might possibly, maybe not, but he might possibly say to you children when the service is over, he may say if there's any questions that you children have, he'll try and answer them. Now, if that happens, it may not, but if it does happen, and the bishop asks if you have any questions, you remember what I said. You don't have any questions. You keep your mouth shut. Period. End of sentence. And I thought to myself, even as an 8-year-old, my mother doesn't tell me what I can say, what I can't say. Who are you to tell me what I can ask or who I can't ask? Go to hell as far as I'm concerned. I'll ask anytime I want, and I'll ask anything I want. Who are you to tell me I can't? And I understood how stupid that was to tell me as a child, I can't ask any questions of the bishop because he's so important and I'm so dumb. And so the next night, after the service was over, I'll be damned if the bishop said, now that you children are confirmed Catholics, if you have any questions about your faith, I'll try and answer them if I can. And I'm your bishop. And so I stood up and I raised my hand, but I stood up because I wanted everybody in church to know who I am. I'm not just some little kid raising a hand. I stood up so everyone could see me. I said, Bishop, I have a question for you. I said, my father works with torches, like a welder, and he's let me on occasions play with a torch so that I will understand how dangerous a torch is. And he has let me hold a torch. And I know that it can burn things very quickly. A torch can. And he said, yes. So what is your question? And I said, my question is, if I was holding a torch and it was on fire blowing up fire, and an angel appeared to me. Could I take the torch and aim it at the angel and hurt him and burn an angel? Would it hurt him if I burned him? And he said, no, you can't burn an angel. I said, why not? He said, because to burn something is a natural phenomenon. Something to those words. It's a natural thing to burn. You have to have paper, plastic, wood, or something that will burn if you're going to burn. But you can't burn an angel. And I said, why not? He said, because an angel is a spirit. You can't even see a spirit, much less burn one. There's nothing to burn. There's nothing there. So I said, then why is it I cannot burn a spirit? He said, because you can't burn a spirit, period. And I said, well, then why am I so concerned about going to hell where my spirit will burn forever if you can't burn a spirit?
Mm.
And he looked at me like a deer in the headlights. Never had such a stupid question from a kid asked like that. Never thought about that. You just got to telling me I can't burn the spirit, then you tell me I'm going to hell and my spirit will burn forever.
Can't have it
so
both ways.
he looked at me, and everybody in church looked at me. They thought, who is this stupid kid with this silly ass question that no adult has ever thought about? No adult has got the brains to ask a question and to think about such a thing. Well, after that, I realized that nobody in the church was thinking. And then when everybody thinks the same thing, then that tells me nobody's thinking at all. So after that, I used to drop pieces of Alka-Seltzer in the holy water. I used to like to watch the adults get all bent out of shape and scared to death because the holy water was fizzling out. And I realized that the adults in my life and in my church don't know nothing. All they can do is give you their opinion. I don't want an opinion. I want to know.
Right.
Educate me. Teach me. Tell me what the words mean. Tell me where this idea came from. Educate me. I want to know. Well, I started going to other churches with my friends from school. On Sunday, I would go to different churches with different friends. And the reason why is because even as a child, I wanted to know. I'm looking for truth. Don't tell me about what you believe. Educate me. Tell me what the words mean, what the ideas, belief systems mean. Tell me where it came from. Tell me the truth so I can understand. I don't want to grow up like you and be ignorant. I want to know at an early age. I want to know. I'm not interested in what you believe. So I kept going to churches, and all the time I would hear all the hymns and all the music and the candles and the incense and all these wonderful accoutrements to worship, but nothing educational ever was told me about nothing. I asked questions continually. Nobody. And so when I got to be a teenager, an older teenager, I would call radio talk shows, Christian radio talk shows, and I would ask them a question, and I would say to them, could I come down, and I would ask the churches, people in the churches, the clergy in the churches too, I said, could I come to the church or the radio station and ask you questions? Because I've got a lot of questions about religion I'd like for you to answer. And I was told by the churches when I would go to the different churches and ask them if I could confront them and ask them in public, they would tell me, no, we question our belief. We will teach you what we want to teach you, what the church teaches, but we're not interested in your questions.
Right.
Ask us. We're not interested. Well, now today, what I do, get churches that will call me and would come to our church. We would like for you to talk with our minister and debate him on these different subjects. And I am delighted to be able to write back and say, no, thank you. I don't discuss intelligent things with people who are not confirmed, who are not educated enough to talk with me. No, thank you. I asked you many years ago if you would listen to me. You said no. Now you ask me to come and listen to you. I say no. I do what I do. You do what you do. And let's see who comes out ahead.
Right.
Let's see who comes out. And so I know now that the churches are not, they have no idea in the world what the words mean, where the word church comes from, why you have 12 disciples, why you have 12 apostles, why you have 12 brothers of Joseph, and the 12 tribes of Israel, and the 12 major prophets, and the 12 minor prophets. I know why everything is done in consequence of 12. I know why, because it has to do with the 12 months of the year,
Right.
the 12 signs of the zodiac. The 12 signs of the zodiac, all 12 of them, are referred to as the 12 apostles, 12 followers of Jesus.
Wow.
And Jesus was God's son, S-U-N. And so Jesus was God's son, and he has 12 followers. He has 12 apostles. Or the 12 signs of the zodiac are the 12 months of the year. And oh my God, as I said, I'm so tired of trying to explain this stuff to people, but it's so important if you understand the importance of what I'm saying and how ignorance is dominating the American public and all over Western civilization. The people are ill-informed, unread, and dim-witted, and it's just too bad because there's never going to be a time when we're going to get out of this mess because the people don't want it.
Right.
The people are not interested to want to know.
It's
They
almost
want
as
to
if
know
you're
that
taking away their goodies. Like by sharing this real information, you're taking away their blitz. And as George Orwell said, ignorance is blitz.
You got that right. That's the name of the tune. So anyway, I think I've talked your head off. I think that's enough.
Well, we want to have you back on, Jordan. Whenever you feel up to it, just give me a holler at, and we'll just go live right then and there.
Well, I appreciate it, and thank you for your kindness and for your patience to listen to me.
Oh, thank you for sharing.
And just know that I've got so much more.
Yes.
What little bit I've told you is nothing compared to what I have been given to know and understand over the years. After 60 years of doing this kind of research, I have heard all the stories. I know where they come from. I know what government's doing. I know who the mob lawyers are. I know what the mob is doing, the organized crime. I know what the Vatican is doing. I know all of it. I know what it's all about. So maybe one day when I'm feeling better and got more energy, we can sit and talk for hours again.
Yes. Before you go, I just want to reiterate for all the people who just now checking in, obviously rewinding the show, but check out Jordan's work at jordanmaxwellshow.com. Once you go there, click on interesting articles, and then you can go to the actual research page, and you get the library, the pantheon of knowledge accumulated over 60 years of knowledge accumulated at your fingertips. So while we're all quarantined,
yes,
please go to Jordan's website. We all got downtime. Go in there instead of binging on these stupid, ridiculous shows. Binge on some real knowledge. Binge on something that will make you a better informed person. All right. Well, thank you, Jordan, so much.
Thank you. And the website is Jordan Maxwell Show. And when you go to Jordan Maxwell Show, you will see an advertisement for a research website. Then click on research, join it. Then once you join the research website, then you go to a section called Interesting Articles.
Yes.
It's on the research website, Interesting Articles, and you will see articles on there that will tell you things you've never heard and will not be able to believe. It's been right there in front of you. You just never knew it was there. You never read anything about it, and now you see how the world really actually works.
Yes.
So I want to thank you for listening. This is Jordan Maxwell, and we'll talk again later.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Brother Maxwell. And I believe he's gone off the line. Wow, what a powerful show, y'all. Was not expecting all this. Once again, I want to thank the Most High for allowing this to occur today. Hopefully that this show has given you guys something to think about, something to contemplate, maybe even something to research for your own interests. But this will conclude TPIM SR Live for today, March 28th, 2020, the year of our Lord. As always, I ask you, brothers and sisters, live your life of integrity without hate, envy, or greed. And as always, brothers and sisters, please, 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 let's try to be kinder to each other. Peace and power, unity and victory, dignity and respect, liberation. I'm out.